Welcome to Manifested Publishers.
Hello, welcome to our today's lesson. We're going to have a lesson in history and government, Form 4. The topic is international relations. And as we have learned, I would want us to have a brief overview of what we have covered so far. We said international relations is the situation where the countries of the world come together and cooperate or relate with one another. And this especially happened immediately after the Second World War. The effects of the Second World War that were devastating, that were so great, made the international community to realize that there is need for international peace. There is need for countries or independent states to solve their disputes in an organized manner or in an amicable manner. So that resulted to nations coming together and forming different organizations that would promote international peace. So that is what we are studying in this topic. We started by studying or by learning the different methods in which the countries of the world interact. So we said the interactions. We said there are different kinds of interaction. There is political relations. We also mentioned diplomatic relations. We also mentioned socio-cultural relations, and also economic relations, and then use of international organizations as a way of promoting international relations. So these are the different methods in which independent states or sovereign states interact with one another, and we have discussed them into detail. And then we now we made a step further and started to look at the different international organization. And we said an international organization is that organization that has membership drawn from many countries and across different continents. And we gave examples like the UN and the Commonwealth organizations. So we have already discussed the United Nations or the UN, the United Nations. We were able to learn how it was formed, that is formation, and then its organization. So when we talk of formation, we looked at what are the aims. Why was it created? Why was it necessary to form the United Nations? Who are the members of the United Nations? How does one become a member? We have already answered that question. So if you are joining us for the first time, I would refer you to go back to the previous lessons and be able to see what we have already learned. Talking of organization, we studied about the organs of the United Nations, and we said the United Nations has 6 principal organs. That is the General Assembly, the Security Council, we have the Secretariat, we have Economic and Social Council, we have the Trusteeship Council, and then lastly we have the International Court of Justice. So those are the organs, and we have discussed each and every one of them and gave their functions or duties. And also, apart from the organs, we studied about the specialized agencies. And we mentioned so many agencies that are affiliated with the United Nations, and they give, or they have different duties helping the UN to achieve its mandate, which is the biggest mandate of the UN, is to make sure that there is international peace and cooperation. So we have already studied that. So we also looked at the performance of the UN. We were able to look at the achievements and the challenges. Performance of the United Nations. We were able to learn what are the achievements of the United Nations so far, and also what challenges or problems does it faces. Now, today we are going to take a step further and look at the next or the other international organization apart from the UN. Remember, we said there are different international organizations that you are going to learn in this unit or in this topic. We have already studied the United Nations, its formation, its organization, and its performance. How does one become a member of the United Nations? What are the duties? What are the different objectives? We have already done that. Now, let us take a step further and now dwell into the next international organization. The next international organization, which is the Commonwealth. So we are going to look at number 2. Number 1, we have already said it is the United Nations. So number 2, we are going to look at the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth, that is the next organization that we are going to study. So the Commonwealth, when you talk of a Commonwealth or the Commonwealth, this is a voluntary association. It is a voluntary association of independent states or countries that were part of the British Empire. So the Commonwealth organization is an organization that is a voluntary association. It is a voluntary association of independent states that were part of the British Empire. So the first point I want you to note, it is voluntary. So it is open to members that are willing to join the association. So it is a voluntary association of independent states. They are no longer colonies or part of the British Empire. So the unifying factor is that all of them were part of the British Empire. But now, for you to, or the countries or members to belong to this organization, it is on a voluntary basis. So they associate on a voluntary basis. They are not coerced or they are not forced to belong to that organization. So they are independent states that have come together or that were part of the British Empire. Either they were colonies or they were dominions. So when you talk of dominion, during the time of colonization, the pre-colonization period, the British Empire had expanded. It was part. It had even taken part of Canada, and also we have. It was also taken New Zealand as part of the British Empire. So these became dominions on themselves at that time. They were not colonized, but they were dominions under the British Empire. So all of them now became part or decided to become part of the Commonwealth as an association. So we can trace this organization as Commonwealth as an organization because we have said the starting point there has to be part of the British Empire. So we can trace the organization or the start of this organization to as far as 1931 through the statute of Westminster, through the Statute of Westminster, that these are statutes that was instituted citing that the dominions that were part of the British Empire in Europe could stand on themselves. And this statute stated that there will be no act of parliament of the British of Britain that could be instituted on another country unless that country has, or the parliament of that country has accepted to be part or to accept that act of parliament. Remember, initially, as the British Empire, they instituted their rules. They instituted their governance on these other parts of the world that were part of her empire. So this statute that was instituted in 1931 allowed the dominions. It allowed the dominions to be independent, to act on their own, to have self-autonomy. They became autonomous from the British Empire. Yes, they are part of the British Empire, but they have autonomy of their own leadership. So this statute allowed them not to be subjected to any act of parliament of the British Parliament. But if these dominions, which include the Dominion of Canada and New Zealand and Austria, so if any of these dominions saw that there is an act of parliament in the British Parliament that could be adopted in their own dominions, they could adopt that. But they could not be coerced, or they could not be forced by the British to get those acts of parliament. So the Commonwealth can be traced to these these statutes as its beginning, but it had not taken structure as the Commonwealth. But for it, or when it stood, or when it started as an organization, it started in allow me to use this because this is an essential year. It started in 1947. That is when it officially started. The Commonwealth organization officially started in 1947 after the independence. After the independence of India, which had become, or which was a colony of Britain for a very long time. So after India had its independence, it was given an opportunity, just like the other dominions had agreed earlier, to become independent but also join under the British Empire. Now they crafted a new organization that they refer to as the Commonwealth. So India was given an opportunity to either accept to join or not to join. So when it joined together with another nation, Pakistan, that led to now the development of a new organization, which we are referring to as Commonwealth. And these organizations had to pay allegiance. That is the next, for you to join, or for you to accept or join the Commonwealth, they had one characteristic, which is they had to pay allegiance to the crown. And when we talk of the crown, it is the monarchy, the monarchy in the British Empire. So they had to pay allegiance. They had to accept the king or the queen to be the head of the empire. So any country, starting with India and Pakistan, with the other colonies that were gaining independence, they were given an option. So that tells you there was free will. There was free will. You either join, or if you do not want to join, you can decide to stay autonomous or to stay independent. So they were given free will to join or not to join. But as you join, you had to pay allegiance. And there's, pardon me, this should be allegiance. Allegiance. They had to pay allegiance to the crown or accept the queen or the king in Britain to be the head of the Commonwealth. So every country that was under the leadership or was colonized by the British was given an opportunity after they had gained self-governance or independence. They were given an opportunity, they were given a chance to become a member of the Commonwealth. So they had to decide either to join or not to join. So that is how the Commonwealth started. But now in the recent times, the Commonwealth have allowed non-British colonies. It has allowed non-British colonies to join, or countries that had not been colonized by the British have now been allowed even to join and become part of the Commonwealth. An example is we have Mozambique. We have Mozambique, which was a colony of Portugal. Yes, we also have another example, which is Cameroon. Cameroon, which was the colony of Germany. This is in West Africa. We also have Togo, right? Both of them were colonies of Germany. Later on, or in the recent times, the Commonwealth as an organization has allowed or has given members and who are not colonies of who are not colonized or part of the British Empire to join and become part of the Commonwealth. So as they were formed, they had the idea of uniting or coming together and pool their resources to make sure that they have or they are maintaining world peace, that there would be independence, there would be peaceful coexistence of the countries or members of the Commonwealth. So as we are going to discuss later in our coming in our coming lessons or in our following lessons, we are going to see much more of what were the aims or what were the ideals that the Commonwealth got. Now, my dear learner, allow me to mention some of the members that have paid allegiance or are part of the Commonwealth country. There are so many, so you allow me, if you have your KLB book, that is Form 4, you can be able to get them. We have the members who are members of the Commonwealth to date. So you can get them on page 42. There are so many of them. You just allow me to mention some of them as we end our lesson today. So in Africa, we have examples of the countries that have become part of the Commonwealth. We have examples like Botswana. We have another, you can note them down. We have Botswana. We have Gambia. We have another nation, Ghana, which is in West Africa. Then Kenya is also part of the Commonwealth. We have Lesotho. We have Malawi. We have Mauritius. We have another nation known as Nigeria. We have the Seychelles, which is in Southern Africa. That is an island, a country that is an island. I'm sure you can be able to locate that on your map. We also have Sierra Leone. We have Swaziland. Swaziland is a nation that is located inside South Africa. It is a nation located inside South Africa. There is another nation, Tanzania. We have Zambia, Zimbabwe, Namibia, South Africa, Cameroon, Mozambique, and Uganda. So those are some of the African countries that are part of the Commonwealth. It is good for you to know them. And then in the other parts of the world, we have Australia, we have Antigua and Barbuda, and then we have the Bahamas, we have Bangladesh, we have Barbados, we have another nation known as Belize, we have Britain itself as a nation, we have Brunei, we have Canada, we have another nation known as Cyprus, we have the Dominica, we have Grenada, we have India, Jamaica, that is a country in the Americas, we have Kiribati, we have Malaysia, we have the Maldives, and then we have the Malta, we have the Zealand or the New Zealand, we have Papua New Guinea, we have St. Christopher Nevis, another nation known as St. Lucia, Singapore, Solomon Islands, we have Sri Lanka, we have Tonga, Trinidad, and we have Tuvalu, we have Western Samoa, we have Pakistan. Remember, I mentioned that is a nation that joined, was among the earliest members of the Commonwealth. We also have Fiji, and lastly, we have Nauru as members of the Commonwealth. It's so important for you to know some of these members, because that could be a question that you could be be able to be asked. So those are the members of the Commonwealth. So my dear learner, as we end our lesson today, I was just making an introduction of the Commonwealth. We have learned what Commonwealth means, and we have said that it is a voluntary association of independent states that were part of the British Empire, or that were part of British colony. Then we said that it started in 1947 after the independence of India. And then we said members are free. They have an option. They join voluntarily. They are not castigated to join. They are not forced to join. They join voluntarily. And then we have said that they are also welcoming non-British colonies to join, and we have given examples. So as we end our lesson, allow me to give you now a revision question. Revision questions. Then the questions are: number 1, name any 7 members of the Commonwealth. Then number 2, define the term Commonwealth. And then lastly, identify members of the Commonwealth who were not colonized by Britain. Identify members of the Commonwealth who are not colonized by Britain. So number 1, name any 7 members of the Commonwealth. I've mentioned around 53 members. So you can just list down 7 of them, and then define the term Commonwealth. What does Commonwealth mean? And lastly, identify members of the Commonwealth who are not colonized by Britain. And that brings us to the end of our history and government lesson. I've been your teacher, Conan Gakure. Until the next time we shall meet on this same platform. Bye-bye.